All right, so hopefully you've looked ahead and you've tried this on your own, right? It's just the same process, okay? There's maybe a little different identity involved, but it's the same process. So let's just first of all start with the function at the inverse, all right? So we're going to say that the sine of the arc sine of x is equal to x, right? We're trying to find the derivative of arc sine. So we're going to start with this this relationship between the inverses, right? Because the arc sine is the inverse of sine. And now we want to differentiate both sides. So d dx of the sine of the arc sine of x equals d dx of x. All right, we're going to apply the chain rule here because we have a composite function. The derivative of sine is cosine, so we have the cosine of the arc sine of x times the derivative of the inside function, which is what we're trying to find. So d dx of the arc sine of x. Okay, and that is equal to the derivative of x, which is just 1. All right, so let's solve for the derivative of arc sine. So arc sine of x is equal to 1 over cosine of the arc sine of x. Okay, now this is the tricky part, is trying to figure out how to simplify this. But we're going to use another Pythagorean identity. Or actually, we're going to use the same Pythagorean identity that we did before, right? So we know that sine of theta plus cosine of theta equals 1. Okay, now we would like to have the denominator in terms of sine of the arc sine. That would let us get rid of the arc sine, right? If we had this in terms of sine of the arc sine. All right, now we've got it in terms of cosine of the arc sine. Whoops, I forgot my square here. Okay, so I'm actually just going to rearrange this Pythagorean identity to get cosine squared theta is equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. And now I can take the square root of both sides. So the cosine of theta is equal to the square root of 1 minus sine squared of theta. Okay, so I'm going to use that relationship and replace the cosine. So let's rewrite this. The derivative of the arc sine of x is equal to 1 over the square root of 1 minus the sine squared of the arc sine of x. Okay. All right, so now we have it in terms of the sine of the arc sine. Okay, so so the sine of the arc sine is x, right? That's what, and we know that, so let's just replace the sine of the arc sine with x, and what we end up with is 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. All right, there's another one for your reference sheet. All right, so go ahead and try these next few derivatives, just applying what we just learned. All right, now you know the derivative of the arctangent and the arc sine, and so now use those derivatives to solve these problems in example 4, and then I'll meet you back up for the next video with the solutions.